Hi, everybody. Welcome to CSA chapter Cyber AI and Power of Knowing Forum's Knowledge Nexus talks, where tech moves you, ideas that scale you. A collaborative podcast event series from cybersecurity to cloud infrastructure to growth strategies and leadership insights. Our four pillars have empowered professionals worldwide, and today we are discussing a topic on AI ethics and compliance, the new boardroom mandate, your go to podcast on tech, cyberspace strategy, and growth. I am your host, Prem Kumar Ayres, today, and we'll explore how regulations and compliance are shaping with AI. A special welcome to all tuned on into the session of CSA Bangalore chapter and Power of Knowing Forum collaborative podcast episode 253 on LinkedIn Live. Today we have the honor of Abhishek R. Sharma, founder and CEO of Upskill School, a regulatory compliance risk and fintech specialist joining us. Let's welcome our esteemed speaker onto our podcast event and dive into the topic. Hi Abhishek, welcome to our podcast. How are you today?
Thank you. Thank you, Prem. And thanks to the CSA Bangalore chapter. And thanks to you for giving the opportunity to be here. Grateful. Thank you so much.
A small intro about yourself, Abhishek.
Yeah. Uh, I'm the founder of the Upskill School. After almost 2 decades in the corporate world, especially working with banks, major part in Mumbai, I would say, NBFC and fintech world, um, I've started this company, the Upskill School. The primary objective of this company is to upskill and enhance the career growth of BFSI professionals who wants to explore the opportunity in the field of regulatory compliances, data privacy, crypto compliances, anti-money laundering compliances. And off late, we have recently started the AI ethics and governance module as well. So that's a brief. We are engaging with corporates. We are dealing with B2C as well as with individuals who wants to upskill and enhance their career growth in the field of BFSI.
Thank you for that, Abhishek. Now, let's dive into the topic. Now, when you talk about boardrooms, there is always a responsibility that comes in, right? So, how are boardrooms redefining ethical responsibilities in the AI age of AI?
Yeah. So, what we have seen in the world of corporate governance, starting from our old Companies Act, then we have a new Companies Act altogether, and also seeing a lot of committee recommendation. Kumar Ramingam Birla committee recommendations, and many other committee recommendations have come on how the Indian board, Indian corporate leadership behave, operate in a very matured environment. And the great part is that we have seen uh, the debacle in the US, the financial debacle of US in 2002, when the Sarbanes-Oxley Act was brought into picture, wherein the SEC, the securities regulator, uh, actually amended the SEC Act after 64 years, and two senators, Sarbanes and Oxley, they brought this regulation to regulate and decide how the CEO and CFO should operate in when it comes to financial reporting. When we go back to India, I would say the Security and Exchange Board of India, SEBI, has been very proactive, played a very pious role, I would say, by bringing Clause 49, which is very similar to Sarbanes-Oxley Act in terms of how the CEO and the management, the CFO becomes responsible in adequate and better financial reporting. Now, when we see AI shaping up, we see more and more companies are adopting AI, building AI products, taking services of vendors who provide AI services. So it is all the more now responsibility of our board members, whether executive, non-executive, independent boards, to sort of give the direction to the organization, especially the legal fraternity, the compliance fraternity, the risk fraternity, in terms of how the organization will accept. So I would say three things. The the current board has to prioritize AI transparency. They have to also focus on algorithm fairness. because every model will have some kind of trained algorithms and rule based learnings. We need to focus there. And third thing is, what is the societal um, impact alongside profits? So I think the purpose and profit should go together. That was the I would say the pointer. And AI is not a decider. AI should be enabler. So human intelligence sitting in the boardrooms should decide how the AI, artificial intelligence, should operate in the organization, and right policy, process, system guidance should be provided. That's what the redefining moment for our new AI boardroom, with new fiduciary responsibility, still not casted by Indian regulator, but comes on because of Companies Act.
Great, sir. Uh, Lot on the board side and the regulation side. I think the corporates are playing a major role in reshaping things. I think, right? That's what you are trying to tell us. Can ethical AI be profitable, or it is still kind of a trade-off in the boardrooms that we are doing at the moment?
So I think the profit and purpose will always go alongside. And what I have seen is that,
Okay.
as a, and you have also seen in your career journey, that how we as a second line of defense have to sort of manage the aspirations of business, but at the same time keeping the aspirations of the regulator. Because I would say, I've always been telling in my work culture when I was working also, that look, we are extended arms of regulator, but we are paid by the companies, right? We are an employee, or we are a founder, or the organizations we run. So here comes an additional responsibility of balance between innovation and regulation. And companies like Microsoft, IBM, they have demonstrated that how ethical AI boosts their brands. It builds their customer loyalty, and in fact, they also fetch investments. We have seen how OpenAI has been going into investment spree. A lot of big investments happened in the recent time, even following a private public model with a very fair public board, and also investments are being taken for the purpose of making profits. So I would say profitability and purpose both will go hand in hand. And so here is the role of our CSA Bangalore chapter, or anybody is working in the field of second line of defense, ethics, governance, risk, compliance, privacy. You are the champions. We are the champions. We need to bring that balance.
What I feel is Abhishek, is that everybody who's in the industry who are shaping up the practices, regulations, and stuff with their knowledge and their experience, if they can guide us and look at helping people to understand better what exactly is that we are talking, when it is not only tick mark that we should look at when we look at compliance and regulations, right? So that's the point that you are trying to say now. I have to say, how do we tackle the black box nature of AI when you are expected to ensure compliance?
In fact, this concept of black box approach, it was more
Mm.
prominent when we have seen how GPTs and AI models were evolving. Especially, I was recently reading the AI Readiness Index Report 2025, and I have seen very significant amount of improvement in terms of how people perceive the risk in AI now. The nature of AI was black box initially, but I have
Mm.
seen that there's a considerable amount of transparency, considerable amount
Okay.
of responsible AI, RAI, responsible AI has come into picture. So much so that the discriminatory patterns are being tackled. And today only, when
Mm.
we are discussing with the cohort, we discussed a very wide definition of biasness. What is bias?
Okay.
What is ethic AI? What is ethical AI? What is transparency? What is accountability? So I think as more and more evolution is happening in the field of AI, my sense is that the nature of black box, no clarity, no transparency, no accountability, no going back to the source and getting who did it, what is the rule, how the rule decide an answer. I think now it is diminishing. We have more control now, I would say.
I think what you are saying is we are getting into a stage where it is evolving, right? So that's where we are talking about. We gone are the pointers where we had to think about a black box of nature and stuff like that. AI has been looking at various aspects in terms of transparency and ethical behaviors in the patterns and the LLMs that are getting created.
And in fact,
Now,
our the champions of compliances, the champions of control, the champion of risk
mhm,
assessment, the champions of governance, the champions of ethics, they have actually taken this as a very proactive engagement. The AI ethics officers, the chief
mhm.
AI ethics officer inside, this is now sort of taking up, and the the delusional aspect of AI is slowly eroding, and more transparental respect of it, because it gives strategic advantage. The moment you are more transparent, you are more customer loyal, you can attract more business, you have more credibility with customers.
Got it, Abhishek. Now, what I want to understand is we are talking AI in every place, right? And we are talking about leadership putting AI into the governance side also. Now, we'll have to see somewhere how the human interface or the empathy part comes into picture, because nowadays everything is automation. Where is the person's empathy coming in, or how the empathy is playing a role? So what role do empathy and human centric leadership play in driving AI governance?
Yeah. So I think when we are setting the AI governance architecture or AI governance framework, starts from boardroom top-down approach till the time the risk and controls are documented at the op shop. I think the policy, the process, the various building blocks which are built as part of the entire architecture. I would say human AI, human-centric AI, is one of the elements, which means that whatever we are doing in the AI product deployment, we have to ensure that um, there is a ample amount of transparency, ample amount of accountability, ample amount of fairness, ample amount of disclosure should be there. And that is only possible when we balance profit with purpose, your initial point. And it is only possible when the champions like our fraternity actually embrace it. So we need to now embrace AI to make India, which is a very highly growth engine for AI manpower in the world, we need to ensure that the human elements, because India as a civilization has always protected human values, culture. So we will never go wrong when we build it in AI as well. So I think these principles become part of our policy engagement and will help us to sort of grow in a very uh, practical, efficient manner without remorse or difficulties to face.
Now, how should leaders handle a tension between uh, innovation speed, because every day there is something new coming in, right? And ethical AI development. So, how do we look at a balance, or how do we synchronize? Is what I think. That's a pointer that I want to
So, in
understand
fact,
from you.
Premji, the way AI is moving and the way things are moving in the AI, every day we see new models and new products, especially the agentic AI sort of taking us by storm. Uh, so, here are a couple of things. One is either we are a user of it or we are innovator of it. We are inventing or developing as a product. Both approach will differ. But let me take a pot shot in terms of how we see as organizations who build products. I would say we need to build ethics by design. Whatever we do, the way, when the GDPR came in Europe for data privacy, how we adopted DPDP Act in India. privacy by design. On very similar lines, we have to work on ethics by design. While there are ethics functions already operating in organizations, whether it is banking, non-banking companies, or even marketplaces, or any kind of a non-BFSI organization, the ethics by design will not give us surprises. Second, um, the top-down approach for governance has to come from the board with cross-functional collaboration across tech, business, legal, risk, compliance at an enterprise level. And last, uh, we need to keep innovating by way of a sandbox approach without diluting the social impact. And the moment we focus on ethics, the business will talk about innovation and speed. At the moment we talk about innovation and speed, the control guy will talk about ethics.
Ethics. Yeah, right. No, I think what you're saying again is to look at a collaboration that should be part of every function that is going to play a role in bringing governance into the picture. I think governance, security, and regulatory pointers are not a single person's choice, but it is going to be a organization's choice. Are the most CISO truly prepared for AI compliance and ethical risks, or what are they missing?
The recent data which has come, initially when I was reading the initial previous data, I understand that most of the development was led by India, by US and China, especially when it comes to development of the models. But when it comes to
Mhm.
adoption and manpower and workforce getting ready, India is of course having a very strong numbers. In terms
Hmm.
of our C-suite preparedness for ethics, I think the leaders are taking up more practical approach now, which is uh, in fact getting part of the journey altogether by building products and also adopting AI in a very meaningful way. So even if I divide the
Hmm.
entire country into very large corporates, mid corporate, and MSMEs and SMEs, I would say um, the large corporates, of course, are playing bigger role in terms of product development and deployment. The mid corporates and SMEs, I would say the more workforce is getting ready to
Hmm.
upskill themselves and enhance their career by knowing the very basic nuances. And of course, the adoption is much faster in India as compared to the previous data.
I know. I think we've been the forefront of tech services that we have been doing for ages. I think when we started the R&D labs, we were the first to do the R&D labs part. Then manpower came into picture. Then the ODC models where people were to be working from this location became a this one. Most of the outsourcing happened to India because we had the adoption very quick and people started learning, and the workforce is very dynamic that we have with us, right? So now what should ethics sit in the organization chart, uh, legal risk or boardroom itself?
Eh, this
Where should
yeah,
it?
yeah. This is, I think this is very interesting uh, because I was sort of studying that if let's say Stanford, they did a small survey actually. They took
Mhm.
the participants, almost I think 700 plus sample they have taken up, and they wanted to sort of
Okay.
understand that where those people think AI should sit.
Hmm. Okay.
And it is surprising to know some people say cyber security should take care of the AI as well. Somebody say no, data privacy
Okay.
should take care of this. Somebody say no, it's part of a complete governance chapter. uh, and in fact the larger number has talked about can it be part of op shop. uh,
Okay.
but I think my sense is that um, as it is evolving, I see chief chief AI ethics officer should be a separate role altogether. A compliance
Mm-hmm.
officer in a banking parlance can't double shadow other roles. So even if you make it part of a compliance charter for a NBFC fintech, which is regulated by RBI, SEBI, MFI, IRDI, I would say um, there could be possibility of dual hatting, which could be questioned. But if the very nature of compliances are similar, then of course those roles can be clubbed as well. But as we speak, sir, it's a evolution still happening. Having to guess, I would leave it to the choices of the organization at this point of time, unless the regulator says, no, no, I want this to be stationed at this place.
Got it. So, what are some lessons from the past tech disruptions can leaders apply when adding AI ethics today or adopting AI ethics
I
today?
think the most recent is GDPR, the EU
Okay.
laws on how we can avoid compliances when we deal with data of our customers. That was the biggest thing, because we see in India the rules have under the discussion stage, comments have been taken. Act is already there since August 23, but we haven't implemented anything as yet solidly when it comes to product like a system or a solution,
Hmm.
which requires investment. So I think the recent tech is what of people have developed, and there's one piece I want to cover. Second thing which I want to also sort of focus on the RBI mandate on how the entire internal control function to be automated, and how RBI in
Hmm.
Jan 2024 had talked about banks and BFCs to have comply their automate their compliance function, and that led to a lot of right system process controls putting into place, starting from mid-layer NBFCs till it goes to scheduled commercial banks. So these are the two recent examples which sort of gives us clarity that these past tech what you said disruptions have helped the um, ecosystem in having systems process.
No, I got your point. What I also feel is when you look at the US has the CCPA, the Brazil has a separate laws for their data
Yeah,
protection. Now, GDPR is for the European. And now, India has framed the DPDP Act. The things are putting into place now. We've been speaking in many of our podcasts where we said the data that we collect today is more of a digital data, and paper is going to go off collection of data, because it is going to be either Aadhaar authenticated or a government ID authentication that is going to happen. And now with the vault being there with us for us, that makes a lot of difference for us to control data pointers in terms of what the privacy data can be looking at, how the authentication can be looking at, how the usage can be looking at. That I think is one thing that it can take up. In your experience, what is the biggest blind spot leaders have about AI compliance? Because compliance is always been a tick mark, right? When we say I've complied for this, I ticked it and I move on. Now, how do we look at these blind spots? Because one is the adoption of cloud. Two, the adoption, once we are on the cloud, we have a lot of vulnerabilities. With vulnerabilities, we have the AI coming in to look at how compliance is going to look at. So, what could be the blind spot that leaders should? Uh,
I think the one major aspect of any blind spot, as you rightly pointed on, I'm picking sort of the detail which you did just now on how we
mhm.
manage the data, whether we manage data of our customers, whether we process data of our customers and try to derive meaningful outcomes for marketing, for sales, for product deployment. Uh, with the advent of AI, the employees are also ready to use and access those models or GPTs, or you can say the agentic AIs. Now, the biggest blind spot which I sort of see is that shadow AI. What could be shadow AI? Unofficial tools which are not officially allowed deployed, and they are deployed without any governance, may result into poor results, may result into data leakages and biases. So I think the more early we bring in data elements, the more we have data governance put in place, uh, which had to corroborate with the corporate strategy also. See, the AI governance strategy cannot operate unless it is aligned with the vision of the corporate. And that is only possible when the head of the department sit together and take that path forward. So I think unofficial tools, data mining, data handling could be a blind spot, I think. So your voice is not audible.
Sorry, I was on mute. There was some disturbance there, so I put myself on
No
mute.
problem.
So I
No
forgot to.
problem.
No problem. Uh, no, I think the data provisions, the shadow AI, or the model drifts are some of the real-time examples that we should look at, right? When we talk about how the AI did not get approval, a threat, and stuff like that. And we see those are the things that we need to look at provisioning of the data. What kind of a data that should be allowed? What kind could be some of the blind spots that we face is what I felt when we look at. Now, coming to how do we embed AI accountability across non-tech teams, because we also have to look at not only the tech teams in large organizations. How do we need to embed AI accountability across non-tech teams in large organizations? Your views on it?
I think the early adoption, I would say training,
Mm-hmm.
I would say cross collaboration. So the HR team, the finance team, the L&D has to carve out a strategy on how
Hmm.
their their resources are trained, how their resources can handle this risk coming in future, how their resources can approve a product, a process, a deployment, a PRD or a BRD or a legal opinion while implementing a entire AI development life cycle. And that is only
Hmm.
possible when L&D start doing some kind of a training. L&D start upskilling people. That is one. Second, how are we focusing on AI talent pool?
Hmm.
Who is our
Very important.
AI talent pool? And do we
Yeah.
have clear protocols in terms of how employee will behave in a scenario when he sees unethical AI usage? That become part of the
Hmm.
entire governance strategy. And last,
Uh,
yes, you said.
yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
And I think the last is we need to incentivize our people on that.
I think the point that you are saying is as much as cross skilling is definitely required, whether it is any tech team or non-tech team. Also, you need to give them the importance of how. Yeah, and AI isn't going to be an IT job anymore.
Yeah.
So AI is going to be across the organization, looking at simplifying things and how we can look at a I will say still a checkbox from each of the department till it goes to the board level for approvals, right? You will have to look at every check mark saying that this could be a pro, this could be a con, and because of this, this is what is going to affect. And that kind of an awareness is what we should look at. Then what would be an ethical AI scorecard for a company look like going forward, right? So some fairness in terms of metrics and something like that. Any idea on that,
So I
Abhishek?
think still very early stage. While
Okay.
the OECD principles have outlined certain parameters,
Hmm.
UNESCO has come out with a guidance note outlining what should be there. Similarly, the MIT US University has talked about AI risk governance and repositories and controls. But
Hmm.
I need to fairly see how ethical AI scorecard should look like. I
Okay.
need parameters. Transparency is a parameter.
Okay.
Robustness is a parameter. Ethical use is a parameter.
Hmm.
Auditability is a parameter. Can I go back and audit the algorithm and see the uh, rules which actually resulted into a prompt, into an outcome? So I think if I sort of
Hmm.
combine all of these, try to give them some weights, either way of a self certification process or by way
Okay.
of actually taking into quantification parameters, we can generate some kind of a score. That should be,
Okay.
we can say, ethical AI scorecard in terms of how.
I think what you're talking about is getting more fairness in the metrics that you look like, and how do I explain something like that, and how is that pattern coming in? Where is the data usage coming in? What is the governance around it? How do I tweak it and stuff like that? Right? Am I right in
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. Fairness will go from many angles. It will go from customer
Hmm.
angles. It will go from your internal policy mechanism. It will go in terms of how would you report to the regulator. So if you sort of devise into variables and give them weights and try to take a number and do a calculation, I think we will be able to get a fair scorecard.
I think what we will move from is from the key performance indicators is to key ethical indicators is what I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
I
And
think that is where we
that
will
is the need of the hour. How
is need of
ethical,
the I think, yeah.
very nicely.
So how do we look at the key ethical indicators is what the board may ask you at the stage where have you ever seen a project fail due to lack of ethical foresight, and what did we learn or teach uh, us in general when we look at? Is there any pointer that you would like to share, Abhishek?
Uh, I think I do not have any very specific example. I have seen the
Hmm.
reports, I have read the reports, and I have seen one or two examples, especially from the US, where one of the very big, giant app manufacturing company, app phone manufacturing company, they also offer fintech products, especially card
Hmm.
products. There I have a
Okay.
use case where how the ethical uh, foresightness, if fails, how it may lead to a biased outcome. Can I
Hmm.
share an example? You want I can elaborate in the.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yes.
So I
Yes.
think the as the report says, and I quote, uh, there was a family, husband wife, both were financially independent. You can say more or less very equal in terms of their financial independence, and they both
Hmm.
applied for a card.
Okay.
Wife's card got rejected.
Hmm. Okay.
And you know what happens when your better half's cards get rejected and yours get approved? Forget about what happens to you. Um, that
Uh-huh.
becomes the news headline, questioning the
Yeah.
where the very fundamentals of the biasness.
Hmm.
How
Yeah.
would you differentiate between two genders? So I would say these kind of failures have a reputational damage, and it gives customer the what do you call reason to doubt.
I think you are saying in a stage where the documents are the same almost,
Yeah,
right? Leaving the card predominantly is between two statements, your reference pointers and stuff. The document almost is the same. When you said it is, they have the equal
yeah.
way of looking at their finances as well. So
just
one is
just
getting approved, the others is
just because of a gender you can't say that, I will not
yeah.
offer you a card.
Okay, that could be a great this one when it can turn tables around. I think that's what I. What is one of the most underrated compliance challenge with generative AI in the enterprise?
I think I would say the underrated, what is that underrated challenge?
Yeah, compliance challenge
Compliance.
with generative AI.
The underrated challenge would be, the veracity or the authenticity of the outcomes. Today we have seen we are generating content on chat GPTs. We are generating using generative models and getting output in audio, video, picture, text, and most of the report says that the accuracy levels have gone up. But when it comes to actually touching the source of the regulator, the the matching of the principles of the regulator from the regulation and matching the outcome of the GPTs, they have to be seriously looked into, because these outcomes sometimes may have effects of biases, hallucinations, and sometimes it may have information may not be legally verified and cannot be authenticated. So I think we need to be very very careful, and we should not take it just like that. Any outcome from GPTs has to corroborate and match with the expectations of the regulator, especially who are in the field of risk control, governance, ethics, because this is a misadventure. And if this kind of outputs are used for regulatory engagements, it may result into bad experiences with regulator. So I think we should not underestimate and just think that these outcomes will help us in all shape, size, form when it comes with the regulator. I think while dealing with the regulator, this should be just enabling content, not your what you call one-stop solution to take and throw it to the regulator. That will not fly actually.
That will not fly. Yeah. Now, I think what you are talking in terms of underrated is we should look at some of the prompt injections or deep flakes that can happen, is what you are trying to say, right? And generative AI brings magic, and that also can bring lawsuits to us, right? So, yeah.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
when we look at generating some of the images, I was talking in a recent podcast where we were talking about today the greatest example was that Kumbh Mela stuff that happened, right? Where Elon Musk is coming and taking bath. The images were there. And
Yes.
you name the person, we had an AI generated image saying that he was taking bath here in Kumbh Mela. It can bring into any kind of. If you had to advise a CEO or on AI governance in 60 seconds, what would you say?
Oh, it's like a fireside chat. So I'll tell you, sir. I'll
Fireside
tell you.
chat,
I
yeah.
think I'm doing a program currently, which is called AI Ethics, uh,
Uh-huh.
Governance, Ethics and Governance for Leadership. The program is going on. It's a
Okay.
four-day program. We cover 8
Hmm.
modules. I teach that program. There are a few things I quickly narrate. Point number one: clear governance strategy, comprehensive strategy,
Hmm.
which should be a differentiator. You should be differentiated from others because of your complete AI adoption ethical principles.
Hmm.
Then, of course, when you build these principles, you follow global standards, NICT, AI, RF frameworks, SISMAN frameworks, EU frameworks are there. Many other principles are. India is still evolving, developing. Uh, then,
Yeah.
second is that um, enable your teams with knowledge, training, so that they help you in proper AI lifecycle development. They become your enabler in the
Yeah.
growth. Don't see as them as blocker. Third, um, dipstick check every 6 months, because the model is expanding. Expandability is one of
Mm.
the features. Model may drift also, so do check on that.
Yeah.
Do corrective action. And fourth is be proper in reporting, customer disclosures. I think if this 4 or 5 things are taken care, um, you will see good results. You will not be seen bad in customers' sight.
Now, that is a very important pointers that you have mentioned. Now, looking at that, see, you'll have to also have some policies to be in place, right? And when launching programs like this or adding these kind of programs, what board level policy should be in place before launching an enterprise AI project or projects? So,
So at the level of the board, you will have uh, the the AI ethics and governance framework. That's a main
hmm,
mother governance framework that will lay down
okay.
major aspects to be covered. Now, this framework, uh, of course, will have vision, mission. It will have terms of references. It will have people who are responsible for driving this. That's the main document. Now, this document is to be followed by the CXOs for their respective vertical for adoption by way of SOPs
Hmm,
and specific data-driven policies. So much so that at the third level, at the implementation level, under one down to CXOs, we also need what you call the guiding documents by way of manuals, AI implementation manual, which will help that if any proposal come for implementation of AI or for purchase of an AI, buy or build, what is my uh, blocks which I'll take care, what steps I take, how
hmm.
should I approve, which may have AI related clauses, which may have AI related escalation protocols. I think if these are taken care, then you can easily manage your vendors who provide AI services. You can have procurement protocols built in like that, and then similarly you can give a good amount of data to internal audit to audit you.
Okay. Got it. So you'll have to put a kind of a procurement protocols, vendor assessments, internal audits, and stuff is what we are trying to talk about here, Abhishek. And you should you shouldn't be or wouldn't be build a factory without safety standards. That's what you are trying to say,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And why launch AI without ethics? That's the point that you are trying to bring in. I take that point.
I think that
Now,
the responsibility is more on um, CRO, Chief Risk Officer, Chief
okay,
Security Officer, Chief Compliance Officer, Chief DP Data Privacy Officer. More on him or her than on
yeah.
CEO.
Hmm.
Because see, CEO is going to drive business, and he wants compliance to happen, governance to happen.
Yeah,
But
definitely,
we
definitely.
need to champion that cause with him, and and this will go long way. It's not a
Mm.
quick fix. It's going to go long way, and that's how the organization will shape out or shape in future.
Now we've looking at the old ways of taking technology. We used to get ourselves certified in some of the certifications, right? Now I'm a BCP consultant. Now I'm an Azure certified. Now I'm GCP certified. What's your view on AI certifications or ethical compliance labels for businesses? Because now we are saying AI, tomorrow it will change something else. So how do we look at certifications coming into picture?
I think individually, if somebody wants to learn and grow, there are many programs. In the Upskill
Hmm.
School, we run a program on AI ethics and governance for leadership, which is very comprehensive program with LMS access, with a lot of recordings and data. We do live sessions as well. There are assignments
Mm.
and there is assessment as well. But if the organizations are looking for AI compliant kind of a thing, then I think in India we are still not. We're still developing that. We haven't seen that as yet.
Okay.
Uh, there are frameworks which sort of certify and justify that your AI implementation is good or bad, especially from US, from the European Unions. But those are still frameworks, and how you adopt them is up to you, and you certify yourself, and your auditor certify you. So I would say that if you are individually thinking to grow, then of course you are in the right conversation with Prem ji and with me. Uh, Definitely, we can help you grow, succeed in this the best possible manner. But organization
Yeah.
wise, of course, you have to devise a what you call the entire AI implementation strategy, which could be measured through KPIs or key ethics indicators, as you said, KCIs, key EI, key ethics indicators. Yeah,
Yeah. Now coming to that pointer, because I think what we are speaking is talking about evolving global norms like AI Act, NIST, or the India's DPDP approach is what we are talking
correct.
about. Trust in AI might soon be visible as a energy star rating kind of thing,
Correct.
right? So you will have to look at somewhere. Earlier when we have the energy star, the people never used to look at anything, and E and a star would help us understand that's a trust based thing. And earlier, if you really look at even the ISA standards or the hallmark standards, we still believe in those because those are certification bodies that certify certain things. I think AI Act will take that pointer, is what I understand from my view. And now, how do we approach AI ethics across cross-border business environments with various laws? Now, as we spoke in the initial pointer where we saw about CCPA, GDPR, DPDP, Brazil Act. Now, I think every organization or every country or a region wants to have their data residing in their zones, right? Now, Azure or GCP or any other cloud provider give you the option of spinning your environment and workloads in their respective regions. But when I'm having something to be done in the US and I operate from here, how do you approach this AI ethics in the cross border business environments with various
Yeah.
laws, varying laws?
No, I think we will go by the existing principles.
Hmm.
So take an example of, let's say, a banking world where RBI is there. So they have a clear
Hmm.
mandate on how the data has to be processed in India. You know what? For
Yeah.
example, for a payment data, whether it is processed by a banking company or a non-bank prepaid payment instrument provider or payment aggregator, which always has a foreign leg in a transaction. It is a very
Hmm.
clear mandate in terms of who will store the data, where the data has to be stored. We have seen data localization is very crucial today. It is prominent
Hmm.
for a lot of reasons, because of geopolitical reasons, because of data being new growth for engine, growth for both peace and prosperity and war. So I think,
I was talking in one of the podcasts where we said data is the new fuel,
yeah,
right? And we spoke about uh, data being the new oil also when we talk about fuel, because is one thing which is going to drive businesses hereafter, right? So that's one thing that I was talking somewhere, and we got a very good insight there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Similarly, I think taking from that point only, I would say that we will follow the law of the land.
Mm.
The way we follow the law of the land, anybody operating abroad or India will follow the law of the land, which means that the leg of the transaction to be kept in India will be kept in India. The foreign leg, which can also be kept outside, will be kept outside. And with privacy norms coming on top of it, the consent
Mm.
mechanism, right to
Yeah.
revoke the consent, um, the storage of the data, all this will
Mm.
decide on how the AI system will also take data, process data, throw the data, store the data. Data governance architecture will also have AI as one of the elements. So I think if the organization has the complete picture of data governance, they have to just bring AI as one of the enablers.
I think when we speak about DPD, the primary concern that came in or the law coming in is In India, we don't uh, have that kind of a piece where the data is so protected. Right now, a banking guy can take everything from you, every document he wants that you have, whichever document and after he collects the documents, he does not give you a consent whether it is processed and what is he going to do with that documents that are collected. That is a crucial thing. I think one major pointer where DPDP is coming into picture is what I feel is, this is my view. I am open to pointers, but what I felt is, when you talk about privacy as an operation that has to be taken for data that has been collected, you will have to look at what kind of data has been collected, how long is it going to be kept in and processed. Once the data is processed, or the purpose of the data which has been collected is completed, how do you keep them, how long is it going to be with you, what is the backup part, what is the archival part, and what is the deletion cycle of this. Because what purpose is going to be the pointer where the data has to be kept in the system or out of the system, right? So that is one thing which is going to be a very key factor with DPDP coming in India, is what I understand. So how can we prevent ethical AI becoming just another tick box in the compliance activity? Because we spoke about this in the start of the session. It should not be a tick box, right? So, uh, how do we prevent that kind of a thing?
I think all of these is being talked about, especially,
Hmm.
and our topic is like that. The new boardroom mandate, AI
Yeah.
compliance, new boardroom mandate, which means what? Which means culture.
Hmm.
The way we have culture of integrity. When we say integrity builds trust, many organizations say integrity build trust. Ethical AI will build creditworthiness, trustworthiness with
Yeah.
customer. So the first and the foremost thing is culture, and culture will never come from bottom up. It always come from top down.
Yeah. Top
It
down.
is
Yeah.
it is the management, the board, the independent directors, the CEO will take shots, and from there you build championship. There you build ownership, sponsorship. You bring your talent. You create pool of people who drive that, and then you
Hmm.
execute in day to day by way of policy, process, system, IT, governance, approvals. All of this may become part of your GSC mechanism also. GRC AI can become part of one of the GRC elements in the entire scheme of things.
Yeah.
And once that is done, then we see key ethics indicators. How are we going? How are we progressing? What is the evolution happening?
Progress.
Do we need to improve upon? Do we need to do course correction? I think these are bare minimum, I would say.
I think what you are saying is very critical. Key ethical indicators are, ethics isn't a checkbox, is what we should look at,
Mm.
right? It should be a culture that we breathe, right? Where it should be pointers where without it does not make sense. It's a culture that we want to drive. Right now, what advice would you give to a young manager trying to advocate for ethical AI in their company?
Young manager. Young
Hmm.
manager should upskill, should learn.
No other
No
option.
other option. Should learn from people around, learn from resources available. If they need our help, we can help them. Uh, Learn how you can be a champion in AI.
Hmm.
Uh, when I was in bank, started my career in 2004. Uh, After doing CA, there was a thought process that you should do credit. You should be a credit
Hmm.
officer, or you should
Okay.
go into business. You should sell products, or you should go in finance, become a finance CFO function, controller function.
Hmm.
So something came in my said, let's go to compliance. And now this,
Okay.
after 25 years, we are talking of compliance. I think today, after so much of new development, AI is like that.
Yeah.
So anybody who
Okay.
is a budding employee or budding entrepreneur, he will see AI as something which is force multiplier.
I think it's an empower. You have to empower yourself with frameworks, mentorship, or some courage to raise to concerns, right? And you don't need a title to lead with ethics. So it is more about clearly saying what you're trying to advocate. You should have the ethical practices in mind, and then I think. With the law point time coming in, we are on top of the hour. We have about 5 minutes to go. I think we have come to the final pointer that I wanted to understand from what's one operational story or aha moment that reshaped your thinking around AI, ethics, and leadership. Because we are talking on a topic of that, where we are talking about AI ethics compliance, the new boardroom mandate is what we're talking about. So, your take on the final pointer, Abhishek.
I think when we were doing the upskill school, when we are sort of building this company, and since it is aha
Hmm.
moment, I need to sort of go back to my own personal experience and how it gives
Okay.
me that thing. So when we are building this, uh, the one thing is how we can use AI in a very meaningful way so that it
Hmm.
can bring change in the lives of people who associate with us. And that's when I realized that the not just the technical aspects of AI is crucial, but the AI ethics governance are more crucial because you are the approver of that implementation. And that's when we started using technology, taking help of technology, bringing in more AI driven resources which can help us top of the game. And that sort of has given us the what you call sort of the litmus test for us, how we adopt, how we use new models or various other features or technology into our day-to-day working so that we generate value for others in a meaningful way. So I think, and that's ongoing, by the way. It's not that one-time implementation. It's done. People, things are evolving, changing. We'll keep adopting. Maybe we are doing wrong. We have to do something right. All this will happen. But I think
Yeah.
that's the way I see that you keep taking step every day. Either it is one day or it is day one for you. You decide.
Hmm. Now, with that, I have come to the final stage where I had the questions that I wanted to ask. I've taken some notes also. I would like to summarize on what we were talking about. We are talking about shift from roles from just financial metrics to AI transparency, fairness, and social impact. That's what the new COI, where we talk about ethical AI stewards, are we ready? Is what we spoke about. Then we spoke about whether it is profitable, whether bringing real cases where ethics are added to brand, trust, customer loyalty, ESG in investments. Ethics isn't just cost center, right? It has to be a growth engine for us, right? So that's one thing that we spoke about. Then we spoke about black box nature, where we spoke about biases, audits, AI observability platforms, like what you can explain, but you can't comply with. AI needs a flashlight kind of a thing, right? So that's what we spoke about. Then we spoke about human centric leadership playing driving the AI governments, where we spoke about compliance without compass is just a code kind of a thing, right? Then we spoke about what frameworks like AI governance, board ethics, and can be innovation when we talk about handling tension between innovation and the speed, innovation speed and ethical AI deployments. The faster isn't always smarter also, right? So especially when it is AI. So it does not need to be always faster, but take caution and know what we are trying to do. Then we spoke about is the C suits truly prepared for this kind of compliance, AI compliance, and ethical risks, right? So Now, with that, knowing ChatGPT doesn't make you a AI ready. It tells you to ask the right questions, right? Where we talk about the right answers coming up, because the model is built, or the LLM is built in such a way that it gives you answers for what you have, referring to some of the LLMs that is already there, where data is fed, right? So that's what we spoke about. Then we spoke about some of the pointers where ethics can be add on boardrooms itself, where org chart level risk and other pointers, how legal is sitting, and that's where we spoke about what lessons from the past disruptions can leaders apply. That's one thing. Is ignoring the ethics now may make you to look at paying huge fines at the later stage, is what we spoke about, some of the pointers. Then we spoke about blind spots, which were very important, and the AI that did not get board approval is the biggest threat, right? So I think that's one thing that we should look at. Now we spoke about embedding AI accountability across non-technical teams in the large organizations. Now that's where we spoke about AI isn't just an IT job, right? Anymore. Anybody in the organization has to be looking at AI as a tool that helps them solve problems and stuff like that. And we spoke an important pointer where we move away from KPIs, and it's time for having the KEIs, that is key ethical indicators, is what we spoke. And the many pointers that we bring. And then we spoke about Gen AI brings magic, and at times it can bring in lawsuits also. That's the point that we spoke also. Then we spoke about fairness, transparent and secure audits, liabilities and stuff. Then we spoke about build a factory without safety standards. Why launch AI without ethics is one pointer that came into our mind, and we spoke on that as well. Trust in the AI might be soon visible as an energy star. That we spoke about, right? There could be a star rating that can come in, and we speak about that. Then we spoke about trust in AI might soon be visible very soon for everybody to look at and see what is. And one AI may be many countries who have decided what is ethical. That's another pointer that is good. Now we did not say ethics should not be considered as a tick box. We said you should breathe the culture. That's what we spoke about also. And while it came to how a person can reshape, or an young manager can advocate ethical AI in their company, we told them to upskill. We have given some of the pointers: mentorship, courage to raise concerns and stuff. You don't need to be a have a title to lead with ethics, is what we find out in the final stuff. And the last pointer that we spoke about is the one mistake that taught me more than compliance trainings ever did, was about the moment shaping REI, where AI, ethics, and leadership were to be one personal story, is what we spoke about. That's all about that we spoke about on the topic of AI ethics and compliance, the new boardroom mandate today. And Abhishek, with this, we would like to have your final words before we conclude. Any thoughts around it? Any uh, pointers that you want to give to the audience before we conclude, Abhishek?
No, I think um, keep an eye. Adoption is the key. Uh, See
Hmm.
what is the best use case and how that use case bring transparent value to you, to your customer, to your stakeholders, and that's the way to go about it. Because this is going to keep evolving. It's of course a evolving space. Keep an eye, keep a watch. I think uh, Cyber.AI inside Cyberbyte is a nice place to know what's new things happening, and CSA Bangalore chapter under Mr. Premji is doing amazing work. Almost 250 plus insightful conversations are already out. So keep an eye. I think that's the way to go.
Thank you for that, Abhishek. With this, I think what we have done to have many people would have viewed it live, but what we have done is we've streamed this around LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and also Instagram. We hope this for you found this discussion valuable. Thank you for joining us. Our next episode is scheduled for tomorrow, which is our 254th episode. freedom how to build your systems for sustainable results is what we are talking about. This is a framework discussion that happens on our Genesis talks at 6:30 p.m. IST tomorrow. Looking forward to see you there, and good day. There are 2 3 comments, I'll just bring them up. We will reply to them on the chat. Very insightful, constructive session, clearly relevant and engaging throughout, is this one pointer from Saurabh. And the second pointer is Vishal. Here is what he said. He's just said hi. And we have culture cultivated from a top down is crucial for organization. It helps us unlock potential of individuals and fosters a spirit of collaboration and generosity among team members. Valid point, Praveen. Great pointers. We'll put a comment on this on the chat, as we are top of the hour, and we would like to conclude this. Abhishek, thank you for being here, and it's been great having you on the session. We are overboard by 7 minutes on the discussion. It went on fly, and we would see we keep the time in mind in future sessions. Thank you for being here, Abhishek.
Thanks a lot. Thank you so much for having me. Grateful.
Thank, thank you.